If Maria supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
The blah blah blah.
Sending out good vibes.
The blah blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
The blah blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection. And put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track. Shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
America. Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grand America Show. Coming at you this week with Dennis J. Henson. Real impact, daily inspiration. The guy's he's a great guy. He's I mean, it's amazing. Some of these guys, it seems like it's weird that we haven't crossed paths with them at some point along the line. But he seems to be reading all the same things. We're reading a bunch of the stuff, the books he recommended, we've actually put out on audio.
Some of them, yeah.
We were, of course, at adultbrain.ca. If you want to get to those audiobooks, we were able to actually recommend some books for him that he never heard of. I forgot to email him those, so I'll have to do that still. But yeah, great chat with Dennis. You guys want to skip ahead to that, skip our lazy ramblings, where we thank our supporters and read their notes and all sorts of other fun stuff. Lazy ramblings. There'll probably be a hunting story on this one. But there's always a timestamp in the show notes. You guys can click on that. It'll take you right to the interview with Dennis.
Yeah, it was. I really had fun, and he had fun in the end too. Talking a lot about this, these old books, manifestation, and he just seems like one of these guys that he's just a successful businessman, full of common sense, kind of just got it together. Super nice guy. Very grateful for everything. Like I feel like the wealth that he made didn't go to his head. He was like. He launched this Vanguard Marketing and Investments in 2003. He's authored numerous books on real estate investing, president of Arlington Real Estate Investing Association for like 13 years, dedicated educator, inspiring countless individuals to achieve their goals in real estate and life through his best-selling books, workshops, and speaking engagements. But after all that, he wrote he was accumulating all these notes and quotes and like short stories for like decades, like 40 years, like inspiring stuff. And he decided to finally like put that all together into a few books. So this Real Impact Daily Inspiration is the first one. And it really seems cool. I mean, I think it's a great idea, actually. I'm all in on his idea. It's graspable. You know what I mean? Like it could even be like a bathroom book, like, you sit there and read a short story. Instead of bringing your phone in there, just read a short story, an inspiring story. Like his thing is like read every day.
What do you do with the book after you're done with it in the bathroom?
You got to make a proper shelf for it and stuff. And
like a different shelf? Do you have a different shelf for books that have spent an extended amount of time in your bathroom?
Well,
or do they just go in a regular old shelf? I'm curious. I need to know this because it affects whether or not I ever borrow a book from you.
I don't have enough room in my tiny shitty little bathroom for a book. I mean, it's like there's nothing in there except for bare essentials.
So your books are clean. Okay.
There's no books.
No one should be bringing any books in the bathroom these days. If they bring your phone in the bathroom, get that all covered in poop particles. You know what I'm saying?
So yeah, it's a good chat. I'm gonna buy. I think I'm gonna get the Maria's kids for Christmas presents, like this inspiring stuff, for the kids, whether they'll read it or not. I don't know, but they
you gotta get that motherfucker 12 rules for life.
I did already. I did. I have. I did a couple weeks ago. I don't think they've read them though, but I mean, I should follow up on that.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
the devil's a good one.
Well, no, that's too out of date for them, I think. Yeah,
think so.
Yeah, definitely.
The drifting part and all that.
Well, yeah, maybe that's okay. I don't know.
Bring it up to date.
Yeah.
Modernize it.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of
Just
work.
change drifting to anxiety or something like that. You know?
Nah, drifting is just fucking NPCing, or I don't know what the words would call. Kids would call it sussing. I don't know what the new words mean. I mean, it's crazy.
Hagmaxing? It's definitely not hagmaxing.
I don't even know what that means. I never thought I'd get to the day where I didn't know what the words meant. But here we are. My kids say words, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Put it this way. Back in my day, we used to call it cougar hunting. Now it's hagmaxing.
Hagmaxing? I get that. That probably makes more sense. That probably makes more sense. There was another one too. What was it for someone that had charisma? It's just Riz.
Oh, Riz. They just shorten it from charisma to Riz. I like
you.
that.
You're ahead of the. Of course you would. You're the fucking how can be guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, well,
Remember
dude, when you grow up in
drop
Canadian hockey,
production?
like everybody's names get shortened, right? Everything gets shortened, put a Y on the end, right?
What was your shortened name, Danny?
Well, I had a bunch.
You,
Like
Danny?
Grazzy was one.
Why was it
Grambo,
called Grazzy?
Grazzy.
Let's list them off. Let's go. Keep going.
I'm trying to think of Charlie Hustle. I mean, back in the day, it was Charlie Hustle.
Charlie Hustle. That's not
Yeah.
shorter.
I know, but Chucky.
Because you're a little go getter.
Had a Y on it, yeah. Because I was like, I'd be pretty good in the basketball court, despite my size and everybody else being better than me. I could hustle to keep up, you know.
Everyone else being better than me.
Well, because I never went on the school teams. They were playing on the school teams and stuff, right? But we'd play football. We'd play. We got called. Me and my buddy Jason. Did I tell you about this? Where in high school that we went from one grade to the next in junior high, and the gym teacher said to the next gym teacher, right, that we were going to, don't put those two guys on the same team. So like every time we started off with, whether it was floor hockey or soccer or whatever, he'd have to be on one team and I'd have to be on the other team. And because we just kick everybody's ass. So we'd play with the older guys, like they played mud football and all the stuff from the older guys. So I mean, you know, that Charlie Hustle stuff paid off. We played like super competitive with the older dudes and just got, you know, that was rough. That was like guys on the weekend that 1 or 2 years older than us playing speedball or mud football, or, you know. Yeah, it was good. It was fun.
You got kind of soft then, huh?
I did.
I feel like you'd be a lot more rugged.
What do you mean? I'm rugged? You see me play hockey?
I have seen you play hockey. You're rugged on the ice.
I used to, well, what kind of ruggedness? Because I'm not out there hunting every weekend, or like what would make me more rugged? Like,
you don't need to.
Because I read books every day now. I mean, I am turning into a bit of a.
You just can't be a self-proclaimed metrosexual.
Well, I'm not.
I think that
was back in the early 2000s.
That disqualifies rugged.
Late 90s.
Anyway. Is he?
Anyways, it didn't work either because I, you know, had to get sober.
It's because of the hockey. Right? It's because of the hockey.
I don't know why that is, but
I don't know. There's just always been this stigma around the hockey guys.
What kind of stigma?
And metrosexual.
No.
There's a lot of jerking off. No. Like, what about the one where they all jerk off on the cracker? Because I heard that one back in my hometown, and then Sean was telling me about it being a thing, a rumor out here. So is this just one of those like urban legends?
I don't know. I've never heard of it.
Did you ever jerk off with your buddies?
No, I mean, I've never even heard of that. That's the thing. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Huh.
So that's weird. I'm not hockey. I mean, I played so much hockey in the early 2000s, late 90s, like that. I was playing like on 5 teams at a time, like three nights, two games a night sometimes. Like it was insane. It was a lot.
Then you quit that and started using.
No, I was doing it all at the same time. I mean, during the end of it, yeah, it was. Well, not the very end, but I mean, yeah, no, there was a time when I was managing a lot at once, somehow, you know, keeping it together with work and hockey and trips and travel and drugs and alcohol. I mean, it was intense.
You could probably find a groove with it all.
Oh yeah. It was, you know, you're just go. It's kind of, you know, in some ways I can see that in you. Like you're 10 years younger than me, right? I can see that in you in a way, not with the addiction part, but just with the go, 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 right? Like,
What else you gonna do? I'm like, what else?
yeah, I mean, I was just on the go all the time. So anyways, it's much different now, sitting at home reading books and
You've been kind of on the go again.
well, no, it's been a pretty tame phase, you know, a learning phase or more of like not academic, but you know what I mean, more of a like a wizardy phase, you know, instead of like
I don't know
the
if that's the word. It's like you're turning into the elder,
yeah,
the village elder.
I know. I just didn't want to associate with age, you know, because
What do you
I
think?
don't think it's
Wizard. Anyway,
well. I figured if you're the king and you know, and Shauna's the queen of Grimerica, then I could be the you know the Merlin, the wizard, the mage,
you're the hand.
the advisor, the mage, you know, the hand.
The hand of the king.
Yeah. But more from a magical perspective.
You like actually run stuff.
Yeah.
And I just get fucked up.
Yeah.
And
So
like
there we
real life.
are. There
Here
we
we
are. And we need some more nobles. I mean,
we need more support. We do have a new one-time donator. I mean, he's already a monthly supporter, so it's not like he's a new. But he also gave us a one-time donation. So, and sent in and out.
yeah, I'll read it. That's it's from Dave from Quebec.
Dave, hey Dave from Quebec.
Hey guys,
no, it's Quebec.
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 Yeah.
Quebec.
It's not Quebec, it's Quebec.
You sound
So
like a white dude.
I just wanted to thank you for all the great content of both your shows. I started my own business as a tiler a year ago, and the business is doing better than expected so far.
What's a
I listened to
Tyler?
your shows. What?
What's a Tyler?
Well, I'll finish and I'll
like
tell
a
you.
Tyler, like a floor Tyler?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. I listen to your shows while working and it makes the job much more enjoyable. So I thought I'd throw a bone your way. Keep up the good work, guys. Aiming to join a CAC, which is Contact at the Cabin, sooner than later if the wife and kids accept it. Take care and keep fighting the good fight.
Come in November, Dave. They will accept it. You'll go home and you'll be so injuvenated from the experience that they'll be like happy you went. You just don't even tell them you're going. Disappear. Now you better tell them. Don't just disappear. But you should come. We got another Quebecer coming, so you guys can mutter away in Quebec in the back in Quebecois.
So I said, it's hard out there. You must be working your tile off.
Ah. That might not translate.
That's a double hockey sticks. Thanks.
Double hockey sticks. 77, 77.
Double Louisville or a double Coho or a Titan.
What's wrong with double hockey sticks? I can't. Is that a poker term? That must be a poker term.
Two sevens? Yeah, maybe. Double sevens would be double hockey sticks, probably. It's probably a poker term.
Well, now it's a Grimerica term for 7777. So if you want to do that, send it over grimerica.ca/support today. You can send over that or any other amount you see fit. We got another one-time donation from our buddy Jim Davis, 1080, down in Missouri.
Oh, he's keeping it up.
He's kept true to his word. Remember, he said he was going to try and do it every month, and he's done it every month since. So he actually sent me some pictures of him in the duck blind. So it's kind of interesting because I'm on the north part of the migration path, and he's in Missouri, a little further south. You know, that's going to be 1,000 miles south of here at least, maybe more. Down the flight path, so he gets the birds that leave after they leave me. So it's interesting. So we trade duck
after they leave you. Oh, right, because they're leaving here and going down there. Yeah. Interesting.
But they're coming from out north of here, even yet, dude. When I was out in the duck blind on Sunday morning, and me and Nate we even stopped hunting and just sat there and watched because it must have been like 250,000 fucking geese came into the lake. This fucking non-stop cackling geese
came into the lake or into view?
Dude, fucking crazy. Like landed in on the far end of the lake, and then they got spooked, and it just sounds like thunder when they all take off.
Wow.
It was really a sight to behold. I've never really seen anything like it. I've seen a lot of snows and stuff like that, but I've never seen that many. I've seen a lot of snows in the field, man. Maybe like 50,000 looks like, where you see like just like a quarter section of geese. But I've never seen anything like these fucking geese that were coming into this Hondo by Brooks. It was just, we were just stopped. We were just awestruck, just watching.
Wow, really, eh?
Yeah, it was fucking crazy, dude. Crazy. And I think where you are, it's even crazier.
I saw a bunch today, but I didn't see that many.
I don't know where you'd have to go around where you are, but I think Saskatchewan. So, because once you get out to Brooks, you start crossing like those cackling geese. You don't even get them this far west. You only get the Canada geese. Even the snow geese, you don't get this far west. We're on the western edge of duck hunting here in Alberta. I gotta head east in almost every instance to hunt ducks.
Wow, interesting.
But where you are, I think Saskatchewan has 3 different migratory paths converging. Best duck hunt in the world is in southern Saskatchewan.
Wow, that's crazy, dude.
And the best whitetail hunting in the world is in northern Saskatchewan.
Wow.
So the more you know.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Find us some cheap land, dude. We'll start up an Indian hunting camp. I was talking to the boys about it. Just buy because find some place where you could just buy a bunch of like swampland in Saskatchewan. That might be cheap.
Oh, you're thinking like Indian hunting cows. So you're thinking like buy a bunch of land and then you can hunt on it?
Yeah. Yeah. And build like some blinds, maybe build a cabin.
I was talking to somebody today who like he gets his kill every year or whatever, but his son is really into it, like really into guns. And they're super picky about what they shoot, right? Like they're only gonna shoot like top of the line stuff or whatever you call it. But he was like, you get permission here because there's not a lot of crown land here, I guess, right? So that you get permission from the people and then you can just go shoot them wherever. Like if you have permission from a bunch of people, you're just checking those places out and you can go get a moose. Somebody just went and like off the road and got a moose or something like that.
That's mostly what I do is permission.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends.
But it seems different because you're in mountains and like this is like prairie, right?
Yeah, that's all crown land. When I go in the mountains, it's crown land. But where I shot my moose on Friday, it's that's technically a agricultural lease.
Huh.
It's just a no contact required one. So there's some that most of the agricultural leases, you'll have to find out who's runs it, whose lease it is. Then you can get a hold of them and you ask permission.
Oh,
it's about 50-50, you know.
So you're thinking about like buying land like up north somewhere and then having a whole hunting. So you don't need permission. Like, was that what?
No, I got no shortage of places to hunt. It'd just be cool to have your own place. It would be pretty cool to have your own place where you and the boys go meet up for a week a year and blast a shitload of ducks. Because out by you I think you can find some places that make the duck hunting here look like nothing.
So do they need tags not for ducks?
No, it's like a daily limit thing. Like,
but if somebody was hunting on your land with you, would they need tags to kill? They still would, right? Like you still need for a whitetail or whatever.
White dudes, yeah, you'd still need it. But if you owned a bunch of land, you probably get some landowner tags, which you could give to your buddies.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So, yeah, I don't know how all that works because I'm not a landowner, but I could be if we have more America.ca/supporters. What I thought is if you get some cheap land in Saskatchewan, get a few acres because some swamps, people might not like that shit, but find some swamps up north, I could get into it. 100 acres of swampland and make it out into a duck thing.
That's a great idea. Yeah. Even though I'm not really into the hunting, but it's a good idea.
People to come hunt ducks.
Yeah.
And I could hunt my own ducks there, but I got to do some duck hunting Sunday. We got the limit, so
good.
What's the limit? It would be 8. So we got 24 ducks on the day.
Wow.
Yeah, almost all in the first couple hours, and then yeah, it was a good time. That was after shooting a bull moose on Friday, so pretty good weekend, really.
Yeah. Well, you didn't really tell the story about the bull moose. I mean,
Well, we were at the
was there
watering
some
hole.
intuitive Indian hunting techniques going on, or?
Yeah, and that dude is again where I just like wandered off. We were part of the truck, and I'm like, I gotta go fucking. I need to go look over here. So I went and looked. It was. I don't think I've ever taken you out to the backside of Broken Hip. Did I take you where you go all the way up to the top of the hill,
Yeah, and then you
and
look
then you
over, there's
breach the
quite a
trees?
view. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
there's quite a
yeah,
view.
yeah.
I had the truck up on top of that hill. You can
You had
drive
the
all the way. You can drive all the way around and get the truck up there.
Well, then why didn't we do that last time when we hauled it out like 2 miles
Well,
out the
because we would
bottom
have
and
had to
back
carry it
again?
all the way up that other hill.
Oh,
Like there was still way more hill in the other direction.
okay, okay,
The hill's like fucking 400 feet tall or something like that. It's
okay.
not a small hill. So anyway, I just wandered off and I looked down. There was nothing, and it was so windy, dude. We had left the watering hole because we were walking around in the fucking trees, and there was fucking trees falling over. We were like, "Whoa, better get the fuck out of here." And because the thought was it was windy, the animals wouldn't be able to hear us. We were like, "Fucking, we could probably just stumble on them." But we couldn't really find anything. So anyway, we drove around to the top of the hill because we were getting cold, sick of sitting around. And I wandered off down, looked down the other side of the hill, didn't see anything. I was wandering back. I see a little flash of white down the bottom of the hill, maybe 300 yards away, down a huge hill, though, like a fucking huge hill, like probably 400-foot tall hill. Little flash of white, then dark brown. Fuck, there's a moose, Miles. There's a fucking moose down there. But I don't have the gun. I like wandered off without the gun because it was like, dude, we were ready to pack it in. It was so windy and cold, and it was like fucking enough. No animals, not even one. So the truck's like maybe, 150 yards away. So I run back there, grab the gun, grab my fucking pack, run back over, and Miles has lost it. But I track, I could see exactly where that fucking moose was heading. And I know where he's going. I just fucking know where he's going. So I run over, we reach this other little like hump in the hill. Sure enough, there he fucking walks out right where I'm expecting him, 211 yards away. So threw my pack down. It was so windy, dude. I didn't know what to do. I never really shot in the wind like that. So I was just like, well, I'm just gonna fucking hold it on where I'd hold it if there was no wind.
Wow.
And yeah, because when I really think about it, I'm like, fuck, how much could it really push this bullet in 200 yards? It's gonna get there in like a tenth of a second.
Yeah,
It's like it's happening fucking
because 200
fast.
yards is not. It's like
200
that's
yards,
like Trump.
600
That's like
feet.
Trump assassination territory, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, it's almost right there. That's 600 feet. I think he was 200. I think he was 100 yards. 100
yeah, yeah.
It's 600 feet or so. And
So did you get him in one shot, kind of, or like how did
I
that work?
I took out his lungs and his front shoulder on the first shot, and he kind of went down and started stumbling. And then I put another one in him, and the second one went through his heart, and he went down. And because dude, he's still moving after that first shot. That moose is fucking huge.
Yeah,
And I'm like, if he goes into the woods now, it's like getting
yeah,
dark. You know how
yeah,
it is over there,
yeah,
man. Just imagine the moose twice as big as that one,
yeah.
and you got to haul it the fuck out of there. And it had a lot more fat on it too. So, dude, trying to skin it with my busted fucking hand. But we got it. I mean, the beauty was we were able to drive the truck right up to it. We
Yeah.
just drove it. You can drive all the way around the back. Then when we were leaving, dude, it was late. We just drove the truck straight up that fucking hill. It was crazy because you can't see the ground. Once you get to a certain point, you can see the ground for the first bit, but then once you get so far up the hill, you can't. It gets so steep you can't see the ground anymore. All you can see is sky. Like you're driving off into the, but it was pretty cool. We cleaned the moose, and we had the headlights of the truck on the whole time. And then once we were done, we shut off the lights, and it was all fucking. It was a new moon almost, so there was a bunch of crazy stars, and the Milky Way was right there. Pretty cool.
Beautiful. Do you have like those big lights that you shine? Like
I was
big
saying
extra lights?
I need something. I need to
Yeah.
get something
A
that
light,
like
another light bar that would help in that situation. Yeah.
you probably these days don't even need it to hook up to the truck. You can just have a cup because it does kind of suck that the truck's running because then you can't really hear because that's heavy bear country. So it's nice to like hear if the bears are coming. Yeah. But whatever, we got it done. Just the two of us too, just me and Miles, fucking that whole fucking moose. And it didn't take long. We probably started at 8, 10 after 8. Right around 8. And finished at 11. So 3 hours. 3.5 hours. I got home around 1.
3 hours to
Got it.
Oh, okay. And
It was probably
haul it away.
1,200-pound moose. Probably 1,200 to 1,300 pounds. So like we first went to go grab the leg to fucking flip it over to gut it. Fucking no chance.
Yeah.
Can't fucking move it. So we had some rope, had to tie it to the fucking truck.
Yeah.
And one guy lifts one leg up and ties it off to the truck and then do the same thing with the other leg. Then just like do the fucking backstrap. It's like fucking the steaks. Oh, there's going to be so many amazing steaks.
Oh, are those going to be at Contact at the Cabin coming up in Invermere?
Those steaks will be at Contact at the Cabin in Invermere. Yes.
Nice.
We'll have a lot more moose on the menu this year. Last year we did a lot of elk. We're still
It's like a month away.
Yeah, we're gonna have some elk sausage. Moose is hanging right now. It's gonna hang for about 2 weeks at the butcher, and then it's gonna be cut up into steaks and roast. We'll do a little both probably at Contact at the Cabin. I have a bunch of antelope too. We'll do some antelope burgers on the Thursday night probably, and then
Papers without pizza without papers. That guy will be supplying dinner one night, right?
yeah, then we'll have the without papers pizza probably. Actually, no, we'll probably do that on the Thursday night.
Oh,
sense.
You think? I don't know. Yeah, probably.
Well, because then we don't have to show up and fucking scramble into cooking dinner.
Yeah.
We could just pick it up, pre-order it, and pick it up. We have to pay them in cash or gold or silver, or ammo.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good. You've been in touch with him then.
Well, I haven't been in touch with him, but I will get in touch with him.
Okay.
But yeah, that'll be good. We'll pick up the bitch and pizza there from the local guy who got canceled during COVID on the Thursday night. And then we'll have steaks one night and roasts and burgers. I mean, we'll just have it all. It'll be everyone loved the food last time, so we're gonna do that again this time. It's gonna be a great time. So yeah, there's some spots left for that. Contact at thecabin.com. Click on Contact at the Chalet. Please do join us for that. It's our home team event, and we don't have a lot of people coming this year. So we do have Tony coming over, Lord Tony and Lord Paul. They'll be over there. A few other people from last year. We got Paul coming out from back east, from Quebec, coming out. It's gonna be a good time. And it looks like we do have that hunting ad on, but it actually looks like that might be filling up with a bunch of Mohawks. So that might be the end of that. We might have a bunch of Mohawks coming up to do the hunting excursion.
I don't even know what that means.
Mohawk Indians from 6 Nations.
From where did they know you, or they're coming up to do that
Kyle
with
will be
you?
one of them.
Oh, wow.
I guess he's got. Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about it. I hope it works out because it'd be great to take a bunch of Indians out and teach them how to hunt.
Yeah, that'd be great.
None
Wow,
of them are into hunting really. So
yeah, that's fantastic.
and a few of them are younger, 18, 19.
Wow,
so be a nice little experience. But if you're interested in that, there might still be some spaces left. You can check that out. Of course, Contact at the Cabin out there. It's right there in the same page as an add-on to the other trip, or you can run it separately. It's up to you.
And also, like Brandon Powell's going to be there doing Wim Hof breath work and cold plunging, and we're going to probably jump in a lake and a river and the hot spring that's right next to the river, jump in and out of those. It's a
It'll be
blast.
amazing. It's a blast. Graham wants to do karaoke. He's
Yeah,
already
he's doing
working on it.
karaoke. I'm working on a special song.
You're working on his karaoke set.
I'll get just one song.
You're only doing one song?
I gotta just get out of. I gotta break through that fear, just that. Like, I just gotta get up and do it because sometimes it takes me a long time to get going. Like a couple hours of like
Dude,
listening to other people.
at the wedding, I did Warren G. I think there's a video of that too.
Yeah, you don't really give a shit. That's good. Yeah,
It's just
that's
singing.
awesome.
Who cares?
Yeah,
I can't. There's nothing that could go wrong. Yeah,
I know. That's the way you got to look at it.
Go
Yeah,
on.
exactly.
Not from that. There's
Yeah.
other stuff where shit could go real wrong real fast. But singing stupid songs ain't one of them for the most part. Anyway, check that out, guys. If you do want to join us, it is a month away. The Moose is at the butcher. Nice big bull. I should hopefully have the head there, but at this time it'll be all cleaned up already.
Yeah, we don't need to bring the head this time.
Well, this time will just be the mount, just the skull, all cleaned up.
We don't want to seem too culty,
Is the head culty? I thought that was
yeah, a
one of
little
the-
bit.
I thought that was one of the less culty things. There's a less culty aspect of it. Anyway, contact at thegavin.com, guys. Support the show, grimerica.ca/support. And yeah, I guess you did the bio in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's already done. So
Yeah, but I do want to mention the website is Dennis J. Henson, HENSON.life. So you can find all the books there and the stuff that he's got.
you guys
Audiobook, ebook.
ebook, like a G book. Check out the audiobook too. Didn't you say it in an audiobook?
Yeah, audiobook and a special edition hardcover too. Yeah.
There you have it. Check out our audiobooks as well. Adultbrain.ca. So that's it, guys. Enjoy the chat. Dennis.
Not too many watching, and we are live. We did decide to go live a couple years ago when we had our equipment anyways, but most of the people consume it on audio later on. So,
Good.
it's really like an audio podcast, but we just do it live because we can now. But we don't, we're kind of in and out of YouTube. Sometimes we're in strike mode with YouTube. So, it's just the live platforms really like we got a little bit everywhere, but
Good.
that's the way it is. But we've got Dennis Henson with us tonight. This will be a fun chat about Real Impact Daily Inspiration, a book that you've got out. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this will be fun. Like we were talking about earlier, it's kind of it overlaps with some of the stuff we've talked about. We've had similar authors that have their own sort of like self-help type books, and we talk a lot about Napoleon Hill. We've got a lot of audiobooks out of like some of the classic New Thought type stuff. And I know your book's kind of not, technically New Thought, but there's a component of it, obviously, if it's about daily inspiration and daily reading. So is that something were you interested in sort of this type of thing before you came up with the idea for the book?
Well, I've been reading inspirational books and studying with inspirational speakers for almost 50 years. My first, I guess, was with Zig Ziglar. He had a reel-to-reel movie out of the pump. I'm sure a lot of your listeners are familiar with that, priming the pump.
He's the OG, right? I mean, he's the original gangster of modern manifestation, kind of.
And then I've met a lot of motivational speakers in my time, and I met Jim Rohn before he was the famous Jim Rohn. He came to one of our sales seminars in Henco back in the 70s, and he was just getting started. And I've watched him through the years. Of course, he passed away a couple of years ago, but I watched him become super success, and I've listened to all of his stuff a million times. So yes, I'm really into that kind of thing.
You're muted.
But you hadn't really written in that genre, had you? Before you had written books before, but is this your first sort of step into that?
The books I've written in the past have been on real estate investing. I've been a real estate investor since 1970, so I've done it for quite a while. And I've taught real estate. And I have a number of students, and part of the training for the students is motivation, because one of the keys to being successful in real estate or sales of any kind is you have to be motivated. You have to, get up and want to go out and knock on doors and talk to people. So it was just a natural thing. In fact, it was a real estate podcast where someone asked me, what's the number one thing you teach your students to make them successful? What would be, if you just say one thing that would help our viewers more than anything else? I said, well, I haven't changed their habits. If they can form success habits, then they'll become successful. Then they said, what's the most important habit? So I thought a minute and I said, forming the habit of reading something positive that will move you toward your goal every day. So after the podcast was over, I thought, man, that was the right answer. Wouldn't it be great if someone would come up with an app or a tool or a book to help people form that habit? Then, man, it hit me like a lightning bolt. I thought, I've been collecting quotes, poems, and success stories for almost 50 years. I can put those together so that people can read every day in the time slots they have available. So if they come home in the middle of the night and they're exhausted, and I forgot to read today, they turn over to the back of the book and there's quotes. You can read 2 quotes and go to sleep thinking about a powerful quote. Now, if you do this year after year, time after time, Zig Ziglar said, little things add up little by little. If you only read 20 minutes a day, in a year, 200-page book, 20 minutes a day, in a year, you would have read 20 books, which is 19 more than the average person. Now that'll make a difference. Over time, over 5, 10, 20 years, you'll become an expert if you're reading about whatever it is. If you want to become an attorney, you read about law. If you want to become a real estate investor, you read about that. So this is not limited to real estate investing, although it started that way. It can be for anything that you want to become.
I like it. What is it about reading that's so good for you? Like what's the difference between, doing that and let's say meditating in the morning, or clearing your mind and just sitting quietly, or listening to something, or doing a mantra in the mirror, or some sort of affirmation? Like why do you think reading is so powerful?
Well, okay, the more ways you can take in things, the more different ways, the better you'll learn. So, I'm old and have had some health issues, and so I walk every day for an hour or 2, and I have plenty of time. So during that time, I listen to podcasts, I listen to audios that people have made, success things. So I think listening every day, reading every day, and actually going and talking with people, the more different ways you can take in the information. But the reading keeps you on track. It's kind of like your rudder. It reminds you, okay, this is where I'm going. This is what I want to do. And today I'm going to read until something hits me that I can think about and digest the rest of the day, because it's not the quantity of the reading that matters. It's the quality. If you read something of good quality that moves you in the direction you want to move in, that can have a tremendous impact. My students are proof. I mean, the first part of the book is my students telling about their successes. And they have been tremendously successful. I mean, a lot more than me. My students are a lot more successful real estate investors than I am, because I put them on the right track. They listened, they read, they did the things that I asked them to do, and they went out and made fortunes. And so that made me look pretty good, and I appreciate them for that.
You mentioned at night when you get home before bed, having some powerful quotes sink in. Do you think it's more important to have something first thing in the morning to start your day off, or like at the end of the day to sort of subconsciously keep your mind even during sleep on something positive, or does it matter?
Well, people are busy. Some people, they're going to go on a trip and they sit at the airport for 2.5 hours. Okay. Or maybe they got home really late and they're exhausted. Or maybe they get up and it just feels right for them to grab a book and start to read. I don't think it really matters what time of the day they decide to do that. I personally, when I get up first thing in the morning, is I try to practice gratitude. I call it the G vitamin. Gratitude lowers your blood pressure. It gives you energy. You can't be depressed when you're being grateful. When you're happy about your family and your home and my beautiful office, my wonderful staff. As I'm going over those things, it's just impossible to be depressed. I'll be happy. I love my life. I love my dog. I love my health. And so that's usually the first thing I do. But when I take in the education part is usually when I'm walking. And then maybe before I go to bed, I'll pick up a book and read a couple of quotes or something. But I've been doing it for so long, it's a habit. The problem with most people is they don't have the habit yet. That's what the book is for. It's to get them past where they have to think about it. I don't ever have to think about it because it's a habit. So once you form the habit, then the thinking is, you're past that.
Darren, do you have any questions or comments?
How did you get into all this? Is this something you just did you learn from it from someone else? Did you learn it how did you kind of get into this manifestation thing? Because I mean, it's kind of all over the place when I started getting into it. Napoleon Hill's everywhere, and then you got The Secret and all these offshoots and offshoots and offshoots. But it was pretty obscure, back then. So it must have been. It was, I just sort of wonder what your sort of gateway was. Was it a Napoleon Hill book, or was it a Zig Ziglar book, or do you remember exactly what book it was?
Yes, when I was a school teacher. I taught I was a band director. And at one point, I had the choice to become the band director at Georgia Tech, which my goal was to become a college band director. So they offered me the job at Georgia Tech, or I could go to Mississippi, the University of Mississippi. Ole Miss offered me a doctoral program for free. I mean, it's a fellowship. I could go there. So that was another choice. And then the third choice was to go to work with a sales company called Henson Incorporated in Tennessee. They offered me 20 times the salary that Georgia Tech offered me. Well, I was a kid, I was 25, 27 years old, and that kind of money, I went there. I took the money. Okay. So the first thing they did was give me 3 books. They gave me Think and Grow Rich, Success, The Glenn Bland Method, and The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. Then they also gave me the Henco Manual. And I read those books and I just was on fire. I mean, I went out and I made so much money. I got married. I bought a new home. I drove a Mercedes. I had anything I wanted because this is funny. I came from a poor family. You've heard that on TV, I guess. But anyway, I really did come from a poor family. I never did have any money. We were extremely poor. My father was a disabled veteran. So having the money and getting excited by making the sale made me want to read more and more books. I read Psycho-Cybernetics, whatever. I could just inhale the books. Whatever I could find, I read. So that was in 75. And I've never stopped. And when I read a quote or a poem or an exciting story, I captured it. Well, back then there wasn't computers. I mean, you didn't just sit down and type it in. You had to write it in a journal. So it's amazing that I still have the stories, the quotes and the poems after all these years, but I treasure them. And so now they're in the book and everybody can read them and treasure them. And they're powerful. I've read these stories, the stories in this book, I've read them 1,000 times at least getting the book ready. I spent 5 years doing it and I still cry. Now, can you imagine reading a story 1,000 times and you read it again and your tears still roll down your face? That's pretty powerful stories. And the ones in this book are powerful. When I was writing the book, the hardest part was the ones I had to leave out because I had so many. I had almost 100 and the book would have been this thick. So I had to narrow it down to, I think there's 40 something stories in there, plus the quotes and poems. And it was really difficult to decide which ones to drop by the wayside. But the ones I kept are really good. Read some of the reviews on Amazon. It kind of, knocks you out how powerful they are. There's stories about people who had the will to succeed regardless of how many times they got knocked down. And they're people you would think that Walt Disney must have had it pretty simple. He's one of the most famous names in history. He didn't have any hard times. But you read the story and you find out there could have been no Disney 6, 7, 8 times because he came to the brink and risked everything, and won. So it's fun to read about these people. It's fun to live their life with them. One of my mentors, Tom Hendricks, is probably one of the most, he is maybe the most respected businessman in the state of Tennessee. They've dedicated buildings to him at some of the Tennessee colleges. He's one of the people I dedicated the book to. So I sent him the book and he wrote me a 4-page letter and he said, you got a winner. When he said that, I knew it was going to be a successful book because I respect his business knowledge more than anyone. So that kind of made my day.
Is there a theme?
Go ahead, you mentioned you've been reading these books since 1975. I got it because I consider myself a bit of a connoisseur myself. I got to ask, if you had a top 5, or is there a handful that you recommend?
Well, actually, the back part of the book is set up like this. First of all, how to use this book: long short stories, short stories, poems, quotes, and a list of books for long time slots. And they're in priority order. So if you want my top 5, in fact, if you want my top 100, just get the book, flip to the back, and there's the list. In addition, there's other suggested reading, like broad topics. If you've read all these books and read all these poems and quotes and you still want more to read, I give them topics to go and research and interesting people to read their biography or autobiography.
So Think and Grow Rich is up there.
Oh,
right?
I think it's number 1. It's probably number 1.
And then that Mandino one that you said, The Greatest Salesman in the World, In Search of Excellence by Thomas Peters and Robert Waterman. Exactly. 12 Pillars. and The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
You're naming my book. You're
Yeah.
naming the books.
yeah. I'm in the back of your book right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No wonder. No wonder.
The Greatest Salesman. That's a good one. That lives on my nightstand. So, have you done? You know what was kind of a sleeper one that I kind of like, because I also like to. You find certain people that you can see are living that lifestyle, and you can see it sort of working out for them, and that's always neat as well. Have you read Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey?
No, but I would like to.
I would highly recommend it. Yeah, and it's kind of the same sort of thing as this book in some ways, where he's got somewhere it's just like these short stories and poems that he was collecting over the years as sort of being this autobiography at the same time. But it's very much that manifest and lean into it, and lean into the discomfort and those sorts of things.
Exactly. Yeah, I have other books that I'm working on. One of them is called The 7 Secrets of Success. And it's if you follow those 7 secrets and you go back and read about any successful person, you can pick those 7 things out. It's kind of like what Napoleon Hill did. He went out and researched how successful people were. Well, I did further research and came up with 7 things. It took me 40 years to be happy with the 7. But I think I've, hit a home run, but that book's not ready yet, but it will be soon. So
you want to tease? Can you give us a teaser? Can you talk about the 7? Or?
Well, the first secret is you have to get your mind right, or nothing else will work. I mean, if you don't believe, it's not going to work. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can go to work for somebody else and do whatever you want to do with them, and it's their goal and whatever. But if you want to do something yourself, the very first thing you've got to do is believe it's going to be successful, because if you don't, when you get knocked down, you're not going to get up. Well, then it's over. The game's over then. So getting your mind right means you're grateful for your successes. And there's a number of parts to getting your mind right. The second one is to seek wisdom. That's reading every day. Seeking wisdom means that no matter how old you are or how good you are, there's still something you don't know. There's still people that know more than you do that can help you get to where you want to be a lot faster. The next one is to develop skills. So in any business, whether it's real estate or you name the business, real estate, and all the skills break down into 5 different parts: mining, money, maintenance, marketing, and managing. Okay, mining is finding a deal. Money, if you don't have money, you're not going to be able to have much of a business. Maintenance means putting it all together, or in the case of real estate, fixing the home up. And then you have to be able to market it, which is what we're doing, or what we're doing right now with my book. We're marketing the book. And then you have to manage the business. So that's pretty much across the board. So let's see, we've got get your mind right, seek wisdom, develop skills, make detailed plans, take massive action, form great alliances, and be persistent. So each of the people in each of the stories of the successful people have those things in common. And you cannot name anyone, Winston Churchill, whoever you name that's a super successful person, you can just watch. You can go down and each one of those things will pop right off the page at you if you're looking for them. Of course, if you've never been looking for them, you probably never noticed it before.
That sounds awesome. When is that coming out?
Well, I have Real Impact 2, Real Impact 3, and then the 7 Secrets. So it's probably going to be down the road a little bit, but most of it is done. It's even though you have the book written, that's not the end. There's an awful lot more to it. You've got to have it, edited, proofread, formatted, uploaded. I mean, there's an awful lot to writing a book. I thought when I came up with the idea of this book, I said, well, I already got the stories, quotes, and I can put it together in 3 months. I'll have a book. Well, 5 years later, I published the book because you want it to be good. I mean, you don't want it to just be like any. You can go to AI and write a book in a day and upload it and sell it, but how much is it worth? So if someone purchases a book from me, I want it to be worth their time and effort. I want them, when they lay it down, to think, oh man, I'm glad I got that, because that going to make a difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I want to ask, go ahead, Darren.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I want to ask you about the success part, like, because you jumped right into it. You read the books, you were on fire, you got the success. Was it what you thought it was? Like, has your thoughts about wealth and success changed since then? I mean, I love how you're practicing gratitude. It is one of the most powerful things, like, even, changes your physiology, even like they say. But so, I mean, it seems like you're there, you're content, but was there, along the way, was there any lessons there for, like, money's not kind of, those typical kind of cliche lessons about money and happiness and all that?
Well, I read something the other day that said life is a stream of problems. If you don't have a problem, then there's a vacuum, and nature does not permit vacuums. So if you don't have a problem, you're going to have one pretty soon. Now, how happy you are depends on how you're going to deal with the problems that are going to come. People are going to die. Things are, there's going to be accidents. You're going to get hurt, and you're going to lose things you didn't, people are going to turn their back on you. There's going to be things that you didn't expect. But Abraham Lincoln said, and Abraham Lincoln had some problems, by the way, a fellow's just about as happy as he decides to be. So it's up to you whether you're feeling good and happy, no matter how stressful things are or how bad things look. It's still up to you. So I'm wealthy, not because of money, but because of the things that I value so much, like the stories and quotes and poems in the book. They're valuable to me. They're worth, in fact, I do a balance sheet, and one of the things I put on the balance sheet is intellectual material. And because of all that, I put $1 million, because that's how much it's worth to me. I don't know if the bankers agree with that, but they've not said anything. But it's worth, well, actually 1.5 million, and probably more. But wealth is not money. Riches are not things. It's how you feel about things that makes you wealthy. You could have $1 billion and be miserable, like some of the people in Congress. I know you can just look at them and tell they're miserable. And they've got millions and millions and millions of dollars. Well, I don't want to trade happiness for that. I just wouldn't do that.
What advice would you give to someone who's struggling to stay motivated or focused? Someone who's fallen off, because it's crazy out there right now.
Okay.
And success has that habit of beating you back a couple times, and how to make sure you stay on point. It tends to, it makes you fucking earn it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you asked that, because here's the answer. Get the book, Real Impact Daily Inspiration, read the system, put it into effect, and watch the magic happen. That's it. If someone's struggling, they need the book. One of the comments I got on the Amazon reviews, a lady said, this book came at exactly the time I needed it. I was having difficulties with my business, and I was struggling, And this gave me the motivation, the inspiration, and exactly what I needed to see other people struggle and how they made it. And that made me feel great. I mean, that's, that was worth all of the time and effort and work that went into putting this together.
Would that be the same answer for keeping momentum? People that have
Yes.
have a momentum
Absolutely.
issue?
Look, this habit is a life-changing habit. Apparently, you already have it, okay? But a lot of people don't. Oh, and they don't realize the impact, which is the name of the book, the impact it will have if they want to become, let's say, I'm a real estate investor and I've taught real estate investing. If they want to become a successful real estate investor, the first thing you have to do is say, okay, I'm a real estate investor and I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this many homes, have this many apartments, this many doors by this period of time. And the way I'm going to do this is by learning the skills, doing the 7 secrets. And I'm going to do something every single day to move myself closer. And I don't care if I get knocked down. I don't care if things fail. I'm still going to get up and move in that direction. Just imagine if more people did that, how much more successful the country would be. Not just the people, but their families, the communities. People that you see that they're happy and successful, that's the path that they're already on. You don't achieve success by accident. I mean, some people may, but that's really not how it works. It's a stairwell, and you can't skip steps. You have to take it a step at a time, day after day, moving forward, and it's kind of like fighting a battle. If you fight a battle, it doesn't matter if you take losses or the person next to you goes down, you just keep moving forward. That's the only way to win the battle. You have to keep moving forward. So
I think that's so important. That's really good advice. It's like that quote from before you mentioned about little by little, right? If you do that every day, if you're just trying to move forward every day, little by little, after a week, after a month, after a year, you should notice these huge differences.
Exactly. Zig Ziglar, one of the stories in the book, I don't know if you've read the book yet, it's 25,000 books. So he wrote a book and he was so proud of the book. He knew it was going to help a lot of people. He put his heart and soul in it, just like I had done this one. And so he tried to get it published. He talked to all of the publishers of the day and they laughed at him. They said, nobody wants to read a book about Hayek. It's not going to work. And so he found a printer. I think it was in Texas, somewhere in southern Texas, maybe San Antonio, who would print the book for him. But in order to get it at a price where he could actually make money, he had to purchase 25,000 copies. Now that's like 2 tons of books. His secretary helped me with this story. She's wonderful, sweet. She was his secretary for years and years. And the books were delivered to his home in pallets in his garage. And he did the priming of the pump, He put his money in, he put his effort and time in, and he started trying to sell the book. And at first, it went out in just a little trickle. I mean, his garage was full of books, and he would sell a few, but he never quit trying. He just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And one day the phone rang, and it was one of those publishers that had turned him down and laughed at him that was saying, would you consider coming with us and let us publish your book? Well, once that happened, the book really exploded, and it's on one of my top list of books to read.
Did they see the book? Why did they change their mind? Was there a sort of a backstory about them finding the book somewhere, or?
Well, no, he sold 25,000, and then he sold another 25,000,
Oh, okay.
and then he sold another. he'd already sold 75,000 copies when they knocked on his door.
Oh, okay. So that's that's what I was hoping for. Like, because he's taking action, right? Like, he's not just sitting around waiting for things to happen. He's like out there doing it. And a lot of times I feel like when you start taking action, things happen in the background, other opportunities pop up.
Exactly. Yeah. The name of the book is See You at the Top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
I noticed that Outwitting the Devil's not on that list. Have you read it? You can't have missed that one.
what is it?
Outwitting the Devil.
No, I haven't read it.
Wow, that's
It's
I would
Napoleon
argue
Hill,
that's Napoleon Hill's best book. He wrote it in 1938, but his wife said his wife was worried that it was just a little too esoteric and too obscure, so she wouldn't let him release it. And so the state didn't release it until 2011 after they were both dead.
Okay. Well, I have 2 more books coming out, Real Impact 2 and 3. And so I'll read that and I'm sure it will go. I read, other Napoleon Hill books. I'm familiar with those.
If you like Napoleon Hill this year, I mean, Outwitting the Devil, there's a chapter there on drifting, how it talks about how that's the devil's biggest trick is he just gets 98% of people just to get in the drift of life where it's this and you get a new job and just find, and it's only 2% that swim against the current.
Yes. The Master Key to Riches, I think, was a better book than Think and Grow Rich, but it didn't have a better title. Yeah.
Is that the Charles Hennell book? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, it was one of Napoleon Hill books.
I see, one of his. Yeah.
It was just better. Yeah. It was written a little bit later on, and he was better at it.
Yeah.
The publisher of Think and Grow Rich wanted him to name it a really weird name. Something about use your noodle to get your caboodle. I think that was the name of it. And Napoleon Hill didn't like that. And so he came back and he said, no, I want to name it this. And I don't think it would have sold quite as many with that other name.
No, there's something special about that title, to be honest with you. There really is. Like, Think and Grow Rich it's stuck. It's stuck now. It's part of like our culture, really. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody, it's funny. Anytime there's something good, evil tries to take it over. So someone has written a book about Napoleon Hill and they've written it in a negative way. But when I read it, I didn't take it as negative. I thought, well, no, that's not. Yes, he failed and failed and failed and failed and failed and failed and failed. Well, we all do. I mean, anybody that's been really, Elon Musk has failed. There's nothing wrong with failing. That's part of the success. Because if he had stopped at any of those failures, and the interesting part is Napoleon Hill almost made it big about 5 times. He came within a day of really making it big. Several times, he had everything that he collected over the years in a warehouse in Chicago, and the warehouse burned. It had all of his letters, all of his pictures, all of the research he'd done to write the book, but he didn't stop. He just got up and dusted his pants off the same way with Edison. Edison had, when he was 67 years old, all of his research was in one laboratory, and it caught fire and it all burned. It was all gone. And he saw his wife and he says, oh, come over here and look at this beautiful fire. You'll never see anything like this ever again. That was his attitude. And then he developed everything that we know about Edison happened after that. But of course, Henry Ford wrote him a check the next day for $250,000. That helped some too.
That does help. That does help. It tends to grease the wheels.
That's right. Well, it's good to have friends like Henry Ford.
So this is something that I've often bandied about in my own head, is because there definitely seems to be something to this, to the Think and Grow Rich. I mean, the other beauty about the title is the whole book is in the title. I mean, it basically is the whole book is him trying to hammer that into your head, that if you can if you can get your head right, then you can do great things. And some people seem to be able to, like, or we don't get to see in the background, so maybe they don't, but some people are able to get to that quickly and other people get, so
You know,
it almost becomes like a chicken and the egg sort of things, where I find in my own life where I'm able to find a little bit of success, and then I'm able to picture that all these things I was picturing before were kind of small potatoes, or it was just kind of, oh, I can do this, so I dare to dream a little bit bigger, and then you can go a little bit further. And I just kind of, I'm wondering if you've noticed that sort of thing, but it makes you sort of wonder if you can, it's almost like a fake it till you make it. And it's like, is it, are you finding success because you,
You're recognizing it, which you might not have recognized it before.
yeah. Or is it just, yes.
The underlying theme of Think and Grow Rich, he never comes out and says, here's what it is. It's kind of a mystery. He's saying, if you read the book, you'll understand. But a lot of people read the book and they don't understand. And then when they fail, they think it didn't work. But they miss the whole point of the book. Because the point of the book is, if you read it again and keep this in mind, the point of the book is burning desire. That is the point. That is the underlying theme of Think and Grow Rich. If you have a burning desire, if you can develop a burning desire, it doesn't matter what happens. You can lose all your money. You can lose your health. It's like Job in the Bible. It doesn't make any difference, because your will is going to pick you up and kick you in the butt, and you're going to get back on track until you succeed or die trying. Now, if you have that kind of will, it's hard to stop. It's just hard to stop someone like that. And he had that kind of will. And so do most other successful people, Henry Ford or whoever. And it seems like there's a theme going around to demonize people who've been successful in the past. Disney, Ford, you name it, they were super successful. So people now, they were bad people. Well, no, that's not. That's well, they were tough people.
Well, I think it's worse than that. They're demonizing people that are successful even nowadays. Modern success too. I mean, right. There seems to be like a pushback against just success. Right. in a truly free market sort of capitalistic way. Like, right. Yeah.
Well, on that note, what do you think Ayn Rand?
Oh, I love her. But what can I say? We're on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just because right now is this weird time where a bunch of people are just sort of waking up to all sorts of different things in the world. And I just keep sending them Atlas Shrugged. I was like, if you just go read Atlas Shrugged, everything will make a lot more sense. You're like 1,000 pages before the start of that book. If you just picture that, and right. That's the way things are going. I mean, I still think that arguably The Fountainhead is a better book, but I mean, they're both tremendous pieces of literature. So I kind of thought that you would feel that way, but I figured I'd throw it out there and ask anyway, because I would put Napoleon Hill and Ayn Rand as probably my two top favorite and most influential authors.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate, because if more people would just buy into common sense, just think what a better country or world we would have. Because everything that she said is just common sense. If you read it, it's hard to argue with it. But people do. They want it to be different because it's difficult. Well, that's just how it is. It's just the way it is. You got to deal with it the way it is.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about imposter syndrome. It's a, it can be debilitating, I think. I mean, how do you get through imposter syndrome? Is it the same as some of these other things, or is there any other advice for that?
Well, I'm not sure. Tell me more.
Well, especially let's say for somebody that's in business, but they might not have the education and they might just not feel like they're, like they're in over their heads, maybe, so they're going to fake it till they make it, maybe. But I mean, how do you get, past the, to realize that you do bring value? Like, let's say it's somebody that is bringing value to their company, to their business, whatever, but they don't feel like they are, they're still in this, like, this lack sort of mindset, or they feel like they're, that they're not supposed to be there, maybe, or they're, you know what I mean?
Well, you remember the 7 secrets of success?
Mm-hmm.
What's the first one?
Mindset.
You got to get your mind right. Well, if they feel that they're not worthy, or if they feel they're not going to succeed, like Henry Ford said, if a fellow thinks he can do a thing, he's probably right. If a fellow thinks he can't do a thing, well, he's probably right. So they're sabotaging their own chances of success by the way they feel. Well, you can change the way you feel. And how would you do that? Well, by my book. It'll turn you around and put you on the right path.
Change the way you think. Yeah, because I mean, I talked to somebody really close to me, and we coach each other through a lot of these things, and she has really good business acumen and intuition, but she doesn't have the official schooling, that type of thing. I mean, and I think my dad went through something similar where he felt like he was kind of like pushing up against the limit because he doesn't have the letters behind his name, but she's really smart. Like you don't need all that to be really good in business. There's an intuition, there's a business acumen, a communication aspect, like just knowing naturally who needs to be communicated to and what needs to be said when and all that. So
they need to have her read the Lincoln story, because Lincoln only had less than a first grade education, yet he became one of the greatest orators the world's ever known. He became the president of the United States. He became the top lawyer in Illinois. I mean, all of these things with less than 1 year of education. What was the difference? Well, he tells you in the story, in his own words, what the difference was. And what the difference was is exactly what this book is about.
Nice. I like that. Okay, I'll pass it on. I'll probably send her a copy of your book too.
Good. And look, giving this book to people will literally change their lives. If you have someone like that, just challenge them. Say, here, read how to use this book, and then put it to use, and then watch what happens. Watch how they change. Watch their life turn around. And I'm sincere. I really believe this. I read something one time about what's the difference in super successful authors and everybody else, because there's only a few super successful authors. And the difference is the super successful authors believe in what they've written. They believe they have the best book. They really believe it down in their heart. And I thought, well, I got that. So this book going to probably work out okay.
How long's it been out? How long's the book been out?
Came out in March or April. I think it came out in April.
Is it on audio as well?
Yes. And
Did you read it yourself?
We're doing an app. It's an ebook, soft cover, audio, and the hardcover, the deluxe edition. It is so beautiful. I mean, I spared no expense. It's got the best paper. I had an artist do all of the drawings for the inside. The cover is the nicest cover material that you can get, and the binding is perfect. If you give somebody this as a gift, they'll know they got a nice gift, because when they hold it in their hand, they can see that this is really, really a nice book. So, if a grandparent wanted to give their grandchildren something, a legacy that they would keep forever and never forget them, this would be that book. And I know that works. When I graduated from college 50 years ago, my aunt Opal gave me a book that had my name embossed in gold in the front of the book. And I still have it 50 years later, and I still think about her all the time. And I think, well, there couldn't have been a better legacy gift, because anything else she gave me would be gone by now. I mean, what else would you keep forever? But books are easy to keep and easy to see, and they mean so much if they're a quality product. You know, they'll mean something. So if you want to give somebody something for graduation, I know one of my business associates, his son graduated from high school, and I thought, well, how lucky I am that I have something really nice that I can give them, that if they use, it'll literally change their life, and they may keep it forever, you know, and remember me. I hope they would.
That's a good point. Christmas is only 3 months away. Get some early Christmas presents, people.
That's right.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. And on our website right now, we're having a special where if you buy 2, you get 3. So if you have a Christmas list, that could be, you know, a big part of your list. You know, maybe you get 6 for the price of 4. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So can we, Darren? Can we go off topic for a sec? Or
Yeah. Are you gonna get one for? Is one of them for me?
no?
No.
No. While we've got you here, I mean, can you talk about real estate at all? Is the current state of real estate, like how is things going? Is it still as good of, you know, an investment? Have you changed your attitude about investing in real estate over the last let's say 5 or 10 years? How things have gotten a little bit less affordable?
No, John Schaub said, if you can hold a property long enough, it really doesn't matter what you paid for it, but it'll eventually pay itself off. And I have people call me all the time and say, you know, gold's the best investment. It's never been worth nothing. Same way with silver. And they say all these things. Well, I had a student back in 2012 who's a good friend of mine, and he's helping me with my business right now. And I asked him the other day, I said, well, you know, we were talking about that back in 2012. How's that silver doing? And he's, oh, it's great. You know, it's worth 3 times what it was in 2012. And, oh, that's right. Well, you know, I don't know if my houses are worth 3 times what they were, but I've been getting rent on them for the last 11 years. How much rent did you get for your gold and silver? None. Yeah. So how could you do better? You can borrow the money to buy the real estate. You're out nothing. And then you start to collect rent, and it pays the bank. Plus you make money on top of that. And then the value of the real estate goes up, especially in Texas. I mean, people are moving here from all over the country because the taxes are better here. And, you know, I had 1 year where all of my properties tripled in value. You know, in 1 year, the value of the property just went through the roof. In California, for about 10 years, the value of the properties doubled year after year after year after year. And then they dropped about 30%, and everybody just, oh my God, real estate is just such a bad thing. Well, just a few years before that, they weren't worth nearly what they were after the 30% drop, because they've been doubling every year. But no, there is no better investment. So I haven't changed my mind about real estate. There's no better investment.
Does it matter if does it mean more if you're going to live in your investment compared to just, you know, getting another one to rent out type of thing? Because there are some challenges in Canada with renting. Recently, Vancouver's changed some laws that makes it much harder on a landlord.
Well,
you know, you get bad tenants. There can be challenges with renting too. You know.
Yeah, there's challenges in California. Here, you know, if you study and stay on top of what's going on, it's really kind of hard not to do well in real estate investing if you're pretty well on it. And I got 4 or 5 books if you want to learn more about that. You can buy some of my books on how to get started in real estate investing, where to find the money, and all of those. They'll be on the same website as this book, but they're kind of down at the bottom. You have to scroll down to see them.
So
All
you've
right, well,
always
that's
had a
good
bit of
advice.
you've always had a bit of a knack for writing then.
Well, the first books I wrote were so bad. I mean, they were pathetic that I pulled them off. We put them up on Amazon, and I came out and I read them, and I thought, this is awful. I don't want anybody to see this. So I pulled it off. And now, if you try to buy those books, they're like $80 because they're hard to get. There's not that many of them. But no, I wasn't a good author when I started. You know, it was one of those things where I wanted to become good, and I wanted to write like Agmandino. I wanted to be able to write a story that made people cry. And so one of the hurdles that the stories in this book had to get over, it had to be so emotional that it reached into my heart and plucked my heartstrings, so I teared up when I read it. So there's 40 stories in there that are emotional. They'll really get into. And there's one called The Little Girl's Goal. And so when somebody tells me they've read the book, I'll say, "What, have you read that part?" And if they say yes, I'll say, "Well, did you cry?" And they say, "Oh, yes." I mean, it'll make you cry. You can't read that story if you have a heart. Yeah, if you read it and you don't cry, you better go see about yourself, because there's something wrong with you. I mean,
Are they all nonfiction or fiction? Is there a mix or?
well, okay. I put in the front of the book that I used a lot of, what is it called? Artistic
License, maybe?
license. Exactly. Yeah. They're like in the Disney story. I tell the story of how Mickey Mouse came about. Well, nobody knows for sure. So I wrote the story the way I thought it was. And then I put, oh, but I don't really know because I wasn't there. But it really all makes sense, because if you know all of the things leading up to the story, you can see how that's probably exactly what happened. So, yeah, I don't say it's nonfiction, but it's not fiction either. All of the people are real people. Those things all really happened, but I don't know for sure that they happened in that exact way, although I tried my best to make it as close as possible. There's a story in the book about Martha Berry, and you probably never heard of Martha Berry, right? No, neither one of you, probably most of your audience have never heard of Martha Berry, but she was a fairly wealthy, her father owned a large plantation around 1900 in northwest Georgia near Rome. And he had like 90 acres of plantation. And she just finished finishing school or college. And when she came home to Rome, she was doing okay. I mean, they were pretty well off. But all of the kids in northwest Georgia, in Georgia, the little kids, there weren't any schools for those kids in those mountains. And so she started a little school. And in order for them to come to be in the school, they brought eggs. One brought the cow and they milked the cow. They brought all kinds of, whatever they had, they brought it and got to come to the school. Well, once all the other kids in the area found out about it, the school just grew and grew and grew. And finally it grew to the point where she couldn't keep up with it. It was not, she needed money. And so a little boy came up to her and said, "Oh, Miss Berry, here's a newspaper article that says Henry Ford's got a lot of money and he's giving it to people who need it. And I think we need it." So she wrote Ford a letter and asked him for some money. Well, he had gotten old and crusty and everybody was asking him for money. So he sent her a dime, 10 cents. Okay. Now, this is where I know all of this is true, because I actually have the letter. Until this point, everything I've said is fact. It's historical fact. But from this point to the next, I didn't know, but I wrote it as if I did. So she took the dime, bought some peanuts, had her kids cultivate the field. They had 90 acres to work with, so they cultivated the field. They grew the peanuts, and then they harvested them, and then they cultivated a larger field, and then they planted those, and then a larger field, and then they planted those. Finally, had like 88 acres of peanuts, and finally they harvested those and took them to where they bought the peanuts, and they got a check for $1,500. Now it's back to where I know this did happen. She sent it to Henry Ford, the whole $1,500, and said, "Here's your dividend on your dime." Well, when Ford got that, he got in the train the same day and went to Rome. And he saw the little kids working their heart out, and he saw the little shack that was their school, and he left her a massive check. And over the years, they were friends, Ford and his wife, and they all became friends. And he paid her over $3 million. Now, this was at the beginning of the 19th century. $3 million then is $100 million now. And she purchased land. She fixed up at the school. She built a school, and I actually went to Berry College when I went to college for 1 year. It's the largest land college. It's the largest college by size in the world. It's bigger than Disney World. It's 40 square miles. That's a big college, right? But here's the thing. I didn't know about how all of that took place. I found out later that when people visit her home and her old office, sometimes she visits them there. Little kids see her. She talks with these kids. She talks with people. And she's been dead for 100 years. I mean, not 100, but 90 years. And so I remembered when I was writing the story, I didn't really write it myself. I just kind of typed it. It was like someone else was telling me this. And so then I put it together and I thought, maybe I didn't make this up. I don't know.
Exactly.
But it's a beautiful story. I think you'll really like it. I think anybody will like any of the stories because I worked really hard to make that happen. So.
Yeah, I mean, it really seems like the theme with all this stuff is like, don't be a victim, don't let all these failures, drag you down. I mean, you can obviously fall down, but get back up. And I mean, if she would have been a victim on the whole thing and just said, "Oh, this stupid dime," like just for example, it seems to be all about just like taking ownership and making it happen.
Yeah, it's people who had will. It's DFWA. Desire, faith, will, and action. If you don't have a burning desire, it's not going to work. If you don't have faith, you got to believe that it's going to work. You have to have the will to make it work. You get knocked down, you got to get up, and then you have to take action, 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 action. If you do those things, that's pretty much a recipe for success. How are you going to fail? If you have the will, how can anybody stop you?
Yeah, I get my balls busted sometimes because I'm like, well, as near as I can tell, the only difference between the people who are living their dreams or on the way to living their dreams and the people that aren't is effort. Is they're just, they're just doing it. It's a shame because if you knew this kind of stuff when you were 14, 15, 16, 18, 20, the world would be a different place, but it's not even readily available for anyone. Most adults don't even know this shit. They're just like, look, man, stupid job and my nagging wife. And, they put all their emotional energy into football games and video games. And it's just like, if everyone had this mentality, we'd be living in that world that they were picturing back in 1920.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned football because I think there's 3 stories or maybe more in the book about football. I'm from Alabama and I love football. I mean, I love football. So I had to put some stories in there. There's one on Lou Holtz, which is just amazing. That man is an amazing person. And then Rudy Rudiger, Rudy?
Yeah, that's the movie, right?
The movie. Rudy, yeah. That's a great story too, because he had no business playing at Notre Dame. I mean, he was too short and he didn't have the grades. He didn't have any money. there was just no way. It was impossible. But this little kid in high school, he told his friends in high school, well, I'm going to sit up and play for Notre Dame. And he did. He did. And that was impossible. I mean, if you just look where he was and where he got to, it was just strictly will. I mean, his willpower and belief. So those things will take you a long way. But, people who tried and fail and then they don't get up say, well, it don't work. Well, it does. You just didn't get up.
Exactly. Do you think we covered everything that you want to cover from your book?
Well, there is one more thing. I need to give them the website. It's realimpact.life, L-I-F-E, realimpact.life. And even if you don't buy the book, we're doing a GoFundMe, which is on that website too. We want to give this book to disadvantaged communities where there's schools that are struggling and they can't afford. We want to put books in those little school libraries, in the community libraries, in the adult centers. And we want to distribute these books in places which will help with continuing education and child literacy. Like you said, what if kids started off with this stuff rather than waiting till they're 40 or 50 or 60 years old to start to learn it? What if they learned this stuff when they were 16? And their whole life would become different. So I want to get this in front of as many people that otherwise wouldn't have been able to get it. So, even if you don't purchase the book, maybe you could give $1 or $2 to help the kids.
And how do people do that?
Go to realimpact.life, click on the GoFundMe, and there's a link there where they can give whatever they'd like to.
All right.
It's funny. I think Atlas Shrugged used to be on like the school reading list back in the day, and now it's like banned. And like Fahrenheit 451, or is it Fahrenheit 451? Is that the one where they burn all the books?
Yeah, that's a sad deal. That's
a hell of a sad deal. So before we let you go, you kind of hinted on it, but you mentioned you have a few more books coming up. You got what are your future plans? You got at least 3 or 4 more books in the wings, it sounds like.
Real Impact 2 and 3. Real Impact 2 is a lot of the stories I didn't put in Real Impact 1, but I've found some even better ones. So once you put them all together, there is good or maybe even a little bit better than this one. And then at Real Impact 3, I try not to get too political or too religious so that anybody could pick it up and they wouldn't be put off. Okay. But Real Impact 3, there's so many stories that, I grew up in the Southern Baptist Church, and there's so many stories of how God changed people's lives. And they're just powerful, and they needed to be written down. So the 3, I think, fits really well because of the Trinity. How. So that one will be sold in religious bookstores and Christian bookstores.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that is a great idea. Well, Dennis, this has been great. We appreciate you coming on short notice. And as soon as I came across my email, I knew it was going to be a great conversation because we're making audiobooks of 3 or 4 of the different ones that are on your list. So they're very deep into the Grimerica culture. A bunch of these people know exactly what we're talking about. And now the ones that you haven't read it yet, this is kicking ass to read those Napoleon Hill books and add a new one to your list. So
exactly. Yeah, if you get the first book and you've got a list of books in the back, that if you read those, you're going to really, you're going to feel it pretty soon because there's some just powerful books there. And if you would send me the books that you mentioned, I'll put them in the next book.
Right on.
Absolutely. Right on. Thanks, Dennis. We appreciate you coming on the show. Come back, and when that next book comes out, shoot us an email and we will have you back on the show.
Yeah.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Okay.
Us too.
Bye.
Yeah. And that was a chat with Dennis Henson. What did you think?
Yeah, I loved it. That was great.
The guy was you, wasn't it? You were the guy you were asking about.
What?
You were the guy you were asking about?
No, I've been through the imposter syndrome. Yeah, I mean, dude, I was managing a whole bunch of technical employees. I mean, that's the other thing I was going to mention is not just like the schooling, but like when you're a leader of a whole bunch of technical people where you just don't have the expertise, you have to rely on being a leader, right? Without being able to tell them like, no, do it this way or do it that way. So it's easy to have imposter syndrome when you don't have the actual technical training that your employees have.
I don't get that one.
What? What do you mean?
I don't get the imposter syndrome one usually.
No, yeah, you don't
I
get it.
feel like
You don't
I
get it.
should have
No,
more.
no, you're the opposite. You're the opposite. Is there what's the opposite of imposter syndrome? It's like the Rami syndrome.
Ram. Anyway, big thanks to Dennis for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Hey, even bigger thanks if you are one of the 1 or 2% that choose to support the work over here over at grimerica.ca/support. It is a not a free. It's all there for free, but we do that in the hopes that if you are getting some value from our little podcast here, you will send some value back our way at grimerica.ca/support. Sign up for a monthly or make a one-time donation. And if you do that in the tune of $1,000, we'll make you a lord or lady, which you can join the ranks of some beautiful people there. And either way, we will read your note. So you can do all that. Of course, head over to grimericaoutlaw.ca if you want to check out our other podcast that does definitely lean into politics and religion and all sorts of other controversial stuff over there that we can't talk about over here. And contact at the cabin for the trips. We got another Randall Carlson trip for sale right now. Just went on sale. Bonneville Flood Tour is going to be fun. We got Invermere coming up in just 6 weeks. And for the audiobooks, of course, we talked about a few of them in the show, right? The Master Keys there. Both the Napoleon Hill ones are there. I'm thinking there's some other ones that I'm missing. But head over to adultbrain.ca.
As a man thinketh,
As a man thinketh. That's another one, yeah. So the full list is there, adultbrain.ca. Get them everywhere you find audiobooks. Leave it at that. Thank you for listening, guys. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
Somehow I built a rocket ship out of the stuff dreams are made and popsicle sticks. Please look at my rocket ship schematics. Tell me you can fly to the moon. Tell me I'm not a lunatic. I bet you think I'm the space cadet. I bet you think I'm the space cadet. No regret, I do not fret, 'cause I am a space cadet. In my hands I have a gas can and matchsticks. Yes, Earth is my home, but I need a vacation from all the sadness, the chaos, and dramatics. I'll let you do the countdown. 3, 2, 1, no hesitation. I bet you think I'm a space cadet. I bet trailing behind a silver steamer. electric messiah. But that's just your publicity stunt. I can see your duplicity in front of your lying teeth. Oh, the rain came down, my wallet got soaked, the money ran out. Oh, the ground was cold, the mud was gold, my dignity was never bought nor sold. Oh, choose a career, get your mind clear, keep up with the Joneses. Oh, you go in, you atone for your greed. You atone for your greed with the electric messiah. Oh, but that's just your publicity stunt. I can see your duplicity in front of your